I saw him standing behind me in the mirror, but when I turned around, nobody was there. I've been going to that gym for almost a year. Late nights, usually around 11 or midnight. I like it quiet. No crowds, no noise, just me and the weights. I knew every inch of that place, every machine, every flickering light, every sound it made when the building settled at night. I felt safe there. That was my mistake. It was a Thursday, maybe 2 a.m. I was the only member left inside. The guy at the front desk had stepped out to the parking lot for a break. I finished my last set and headed to the locker room to grab my bag. The locker room lights were always dim at that hour. That cold, bluish glow that makes everything look slightly wrong. I walked in, went to my locker, started packing up. Completely normal. Just like every other night. That's when I looked up at the mirror above the sinks. There was a man standing directly behind me. Tall, completely still, arms at his sides. Just watching me. His face was wrong somehow. Too long, too pale. Like something that had studied what a human face was supposed to look like but had UNT quite understood it. Like a copy that was almost right. My heart didn't just stop. It dropped. I spun around so fast I knocked my bag off the bench. Nothing. Empty locker room. Just the hum of the lights. Just the slow drip of a faucet somewhere. I stood there with my back pressed against the lockers, breathing hard, staring at every corner. Nothing. Nobody. I told myself it was exhaustion. The tired brain does strange things with light and reflection. I almost convinced myself. I turned back to the mirror. It was closer, not across the room anymore. Maybe 2 feet behind me now in the reflection. Close enough that I should have felt his breath on my neck. But the room behind me was completely empty. I could see every bench, every locker, every corner in that mirror. Nothing there, but in the mirror. He was right behind me, watching me with those 2 pale eyes that didn't move quite right. I grabbed my bag and ran. Hit the door frame hard enough to bruise my shoulder. Didn't stop until I was in my car with all the locks clicked down. I sat there for a long time, just making sure my hands were real. I stayed away for 2 days. Went back in the afternoon, bright and busy and full of people. Walked straight to that mirror. Normal. Just my reflection. Nothing behind me. I exhaled so hard my shoulders dropped 3 inches, but then I noticed the bottom left corner of the mirror. Marks. 4 long streaks pressed into the glass. Finger marks. Like someone had pressed their hand flat against the mirror from the inside and dragged it slowly downward. Glass doesn't work that way. You can't touch a mirror from inside it. I showed the stuff. They looked at each other before they answered. Something passed between them in that look. Something they didn't want to say in front of me. The older one finally told me. The mirror had been replaced 3 times in the past 14 months. Always the same reason. Those marks. Always the same corner. Always for fingers. I asked why they kept replacing it instead of just removing it. He said they tried that. Took the whole mirror down. Left the wall bare. 3 days later, the marks appeared on the wall. Shape. Same 4 fingers. Same corner. On bare concrete, where the mirror used to be. So they put the mirror back. I stopped going to that gym after that conversation. I drive 20 minutes further now to a different place. Nothing strange has happened since, but I called the gym once, about a month after I left. Asked about the older staff member who told me about the mirrors. The person who answered said he didn't work there anymore. Left suddenly about 3 weeks after I stopped going. No notice. Just didn't show up one day. Didn't answer his phone. I thought about that man for a long time. The one who knew exactly what those marks were. The one who had clearly dealt with this before. I wondered where he went. I wonder if he went anywhere. I still drive 20 minutes to the other gym. I still go late sometimes. I still have that half second in every locker room before I look at the mirror. That half second where anything is possible. Last week I looked up anyway. Just my reflection. Just the normal room behind me. But there's one more thing I never told anyone. In that original moment, in that split second before I ran, Before my brain completely shut down, I noticed something in the mirror behind me. Every locker in the room was closed, latched shut. Exactly as they should be. Except one, the locker directly at my back. Wide open. It had been open the entire time I was standing there. I never checked inside it. I've thought about that almost every day since. Whether something was already in the room with me, whether the mirror wasn't showing me something on the other side of the glass, whether it was showing me exactly what was there, right behind me, the whole time. The treadmill turns on by itself every single night. Nobody touches it. Nothing is wrong with it mechanically. It just starts running. And then you hear the footsteps. I worked the overnight shift at a 24-hour gym for about 4 months, midnight to 6 a.m. Just me alone in the building. Most nights, it was uneventful. A few no-towel members, some cleaning. I liked the solitude, honestly. It felt peaceful. The gym had 12 treadmills lined up near the front window, facing the dark parking lot. 3 weeks into the job, I noticed something about treadmill number 7. Every night at exactly 3 a.m., it turned on. Not a flicker, not a slow mechanical startup. It just turned on. Belt moving, speed set to 6.2, timer counting upward. First night it happened, I walked over and turned it off. Figured it was a timer glitch or a faulty sensor. Second night, 3 a.m., treadmill, 7. Running again. Third night I sat at the desk and watched from the moment I clocked in. Then 3 a.m. arrived. The belt started moving. And then I heard the footsteps. Actual footsteps. The specific, unmistakable sound of weight shifting. Left foot landing, right foot landing, steady rhythm, a real running pace. I could hear it clearly from 15 feet away at my desk. Something was running on that treadmill. Nothing was standing on it. I stood up slowly. My legs felt strange. I walked toward it, and the footstep sounds were getting clearer. I could hear the breath, too, rhythmic and steady, underneath the belt sound. The moment I stopped moving, the footstep sound stopped. Hoosta belt running quietly. 6.2 miles per hour. I reached out and pressed stop. I didn't touch treadmill 7 again after that. Every night it turned on and I let it run. I just sat and listened. It always stopped on its own, always at exactly 3:33 a.m. 33 minutes of running. Then, silence. I started digging into the gym's history. I found a newspaper article. A man had collapsed on a treadmill and died. Heart attack. He came in every single night. Always the same machine. His machine was number 7. The article said the staff found him at 3:33 a.m. I requested a shift change. My manager moved me to afternoon hours without asking questions. I think maybe he already knew. I found out later I wasn't the first. The overnight position had unusually high turnover. Nobody talked about it directly. 6.2 miles per hour. That specific number, locked in. The article mentioned his regular training pace was exactly 6.2 miles per hour. He never stopped training. He's still there, running his miles, keeping his schedule with the same discipline he had when he was alive. 33 minutes. At 6.2 miles per hour. Exactly 3.41 miles. That was the length of the outdoor route he used to run. He built that routine so deep into himself over so many years that even now, he can't stop. He doesn't know anything is different. I think about that sometimes, about how strong a habit has to be to survive something like death. And I think about whoever's working the overnight shift there right now. Watching Treadmill 7 come to life, listening to those footsteps. I hope they find peace with it faster than I did. I never really did. I've watched a lot of people in gyms over the years, but I have never seen anything like her. She sat in that chair every single day. And in all the weeks I watched her, she never once blinked. I joined this gym in January, busy enough to feel safe, quiet enough to actually train. I had my regular spot in the free weights section, same corner every time. Good mirror, good space. I felt comfortable there quickly. About 2 weeks in, I noticed the woman sitting near the water fountain. She was in the rest chair maybe 20 feet from where I trained, sitting completely upright, both feet flat on the floor, hands folded neatly in her lap. Not stretching, not cooling down, not looking at a phone or a watch or anything at all, just sitting there, perfectly still, facing the free weights section, facing me. I told myself I was imagining it at first. Plenty of people zone out and stare at nothing. I've done it myself, but it happened again the next session. And the one after that. Every single time I was there, she was in that chair. Same posture, same stillness, same direction. And every time I looked up from a set, her eyes were on me. Fixed on me. Somewhere around the 4th week, I decided to test it. I locked eyes with her from across the room and held it. Most people look away immediately when caught. She didn't look away. I held eye contact and counted in my head. 10 seconds. 20. 30. She did not move, did not shift, did not change expression by a single degree. Just sat there with those eyes wide open and aimed at me like she was reading something written on my face. And then I realized she hadn't blinked. Not once, not a single flicker in 30 seconds of direct eye contact. I looked away first. My hands were sweating in a way that had nothing to do with the weights. I asked one of the trainers about her that afternoon. Described her specifically. The chair, the posture, the spot near the water fountain. The trainer frowned while I was talking. He said there was no rest chair near the water fountain. He walked me over to show me. Stretching mat, water station, open floor. He said the chairs had been taken out during a renovation. He pointed to the corner where they used to be, the exact corner where I had been watching her sit every single day. I stood in that spot for a moment. The area was completely open. Absolutely no chair. I had been watching a woman sitting in a chair that had been gone for 6 weeks. I didn't go back for 3 weeks. When I returned, I went straight to that corner and crouched down to look at the floor. The rubber mat in that specific spot had a different texture, a faint but distinct indentation pressed into the surface. I took a photo of it. I still have it. The last thing I did was search online for old photos of the gym. I found a promotional post from 2009. A woman was sitting in the chair in the corner. Same posture, hands folded, looking directly at the camera lens itself, like she knew exactly where to look. I studied her face for a long time. Something else happened the week before I quit. I was mid-set when I felt it. That prickling awareness on the back of your neck. I racked the weight and turned around. Nobody there. The nearest person was across the room. Then I looked toward the empty corner. The feeling was coming from there, like she had stood up, like she was right behind me. I packed my bag and left. When I got home, I found something in the small outer pocket. A folded piece of paper, a man's name, a date from decades ago, and below the date, 2 words. Still here. I looked up the name. An old obituary came up. The man had lived nearby and died on that exact date. He was a regular at that gym. I go somewhere else now. I keep my bag close, and I check that outer pocket every time. I never make eye contact with strangers in rest areas. The temperature dropped inside the sauna. All at once, like the cold had walked in and sat down. Saunas don't do that. That's not how they work. And whatever came in with that cold, it wasn't leaving without a fight. I've been a sauna person for years. 20 minutes of heat after every workout, then a cold shower, then home. Simple, consistent. Mine. I'd used the same sauna at the same gym for over 2 years. I knew that room. I felt comfortable there. It was a Tuesday evening in October. Late, maybe 9 p.m. The gym mostly empty. I finished my session and walked into the sauna. Nobody else inside. Sat in my corner. Felt the heat close around me. Normal. Comfortable. Exactly what I needed. About 10 minutes in, the temperature dropped. Not slowly, all at once, like a wall of cold air pushing through a vent that didn't exist. I opened my eyes immediately. Door was closed, heater glowing red. temperature gauge on the wall, reading 85 degrees Celsius. But I could see my breath. Little clouds of vapor every time I exhaled, hanging in the air. Inside a functioning 85-degree sauna, I held my hand out cold on my skin. Real, physical, impossible cold. Then I heard the breathing that wasn't mine. Slow, heavy, coming from the far left corner, the darkest part of the room. Something was there, roughly the shape of a person, seated, hunched, slightly forward, limbs that seemed slightly too long. The darkness in that corner was dense, just the outline of something sitting very still in the dark, facing me, breathing. I could not move for several seconds. Then my legs got the message, and I stood slowly, keeping my eyes on that corner. Every step toward the door felt like moving through something thick, like the air itself was pushing back. I hit the handle and pushed. The door didn't open. I pushed harder, threw my shoulder into it. Nothing. Like it was held from the other side. I hit it one more time with everything I had. It burst open, and I fell into the changing area. I spun around and looked back through the small window in the sauna door. The corner was empty, but the temperature gauge was falling. I watched it from the floor. 80 degrees. 70. 60. Dropping steadily. It stopped at 42 degrees and held there. Then a hand pressed against the inside of the window. Long fingers, spread flat. I walked out of that building without stopping for anyone. The gym sent a maintenance notice 3 days later. I asked a staff member what they found. She said nothing was wrong, but the temperature had been locked at 42 degrees. The sauna eventually reopened. I've never gone back inside. I did look up 42 degrees. In older traditions, 42 degrees is the temperature of the threshold, where the living and the dead can occupy the same room. I went back once. Afternoon. Busy hour. I walked to the sauna and looked through the door window without going in. The wood was wrong. That corner bench was pale, almost bleached, like something sitting there, cold to its core, had pushed all the warmth away. I asked the staff member how long that sauna had been there. She said it was original. Almost 30 years. She said there had been complaints. Members feeling suddenly cold, feeling like they weren't alone, feeling like they couldn't leave. I asked what she personally thought. She said she had never used the sauna herself. Not once. She just never wanted to. Some questions are better left sitting in the dark, right where they belong.